The standard of beauty in Korea, also known as the Korean beauty standards, is well known within the K-pop industry. Recently, I did make a video on more of the popular Korean beauty standards right up here, so go check that out if you want to know what they are. But in this video, I'm going to be answering commonly asked questions about the Korean beauty standards. Now, once you watch that video, I'm sure you'll be like, do I fit into the Korean beauty standards? Do I have these features that are ideal? However, one thing to note about these standards is that just because you lack one thing doesn't mean that you're considered ugly in Korea. You could literally have none of these features and still be considered pretty. I know there are these viral short videos on YouTube of people sharing these idols and what percentage of the Korean beauty standards they have. But even if you see these videos, you'll see that these idols don't have every single aspect of the Korean beauty standard, even though they're considered one of the best visuals in the industry. So answering the question, if you lack one of these standards, are you considered ugly? No, this isn't the rule to becoming pretty, but they're just simply features that may enhance your beauty. Or even not. Now, I'm no plastic surgeon, but you still have to have a nice combination of all of these features in order to look ideal. So now that we've got all this information covered, let's move on to the K-pop audition aspect of it. And the first question is, do you still need to fit the Korean beauty standards even if you are not Korean? Yes, this applies to anyone, wherever you're from, because even if you're not Korean, the public still views you as a K-pop idol, and you'll see that even non-Korean idols can still follow the Korean beauty standard or not. Now, the next question is, can you pass your audition even if you don't fit into the Korean beauty standard? Yes, you can. Just because you've got big eyes doesn't mean like, oh my god, I'm a visual now. Or just because you have a big nose doesn't mean it's like, oh no, I'm so ugly. Do you get that? So passing your audition isn't necessarily all about your visuals, which kind of connects to the next question, which is, can you pass if you lack visuals but still have the talent? So this all depends on kind of like the company you're auditioning for, how much visual you're lacking or you seem to lack, and also lastly, your talent and your capabilities, your potential to becoming a trainee. The sun is so wishy-washy today, but no, this isn't necessarily like a yes or no question, just because there are so many idols that aren't necessarily viewed as visuals within the K-pop industry, but they still have got talent that actually makes them stand out, and that's mainly the reason why they passed their audition, because they had the potential to become an idol. This is a very good question, a commonly asked one. If you don't pass these standards, will they force you to have plastic surgery? And will they kick you out if you refuse to do so? Fortunately, it is illegal to force one into surgery. You can't just like force them to do that. That's kind of your choice. And they might encourage it. The company might encourage you to take it. It's all about consent, guys. And honestly, they probably won't kick you out just because that's, again, your choice. Another question that's often appearing is, will I still have to pay for my own plastic surgery, or will the company have to pay for it? A common occurring joke is like, oh my god, me auditioning to get free plastic surgery. Unfortunately, that is not the case because you will have to pay for it eventually within your depth. It's a whole different situation though. If you want to talk about depth and expenses, you can watch these two videos here. This is a good question, I like it. So is looking like a K-pop idol a good thing or a bad thing? So I'm going to assume you're talking about, oh, I look like, Silgi from Red Velvet. It's actually one that I get often, I don't know why. But an example of this would be SM. SM really looks for idols that look similar to their past idols. So an example of this definitely would be SM Entertainment. If you saw Irene from Red Velvet, you'll see a lot of comments when she first debuted that she looks like Taeyeon from SNSD, and you'll just see very similar shadows to one another within SM, even with boy group idols as well. A common term for this situation in K-pop would be called doppelgangers because they do have similar features. So further examples of this would be aespa. When they first debuted, people compared them to other SM idols. So Giselle looking like Crystal and Yuri, and Karina almost looking like Irene, Ning Ning with Joy, and then Winter with Taeyeon. So yes, companies like SM do have a type when it comes to visuals, and they actually might envision someone already when they're trying to scout people and look for potential trainees. And in other situations, some companies do prefer unique visuals that they've never seen within the K-pop industry. That's kind of like their unique selling point. You can kind of research to see just on your own, just look at their previous idols and kind of how their image looks as a whole. The next question is a little bit sad, but are people who do not fit into the Korean beauty standards treated differently? No, not necessarily. I guess it's just the same as in life. If you're treated differently and discriminated for being not so pretty, I guess. Sure, you could be discriminated, but that's also the same in any environment, like school. You could be discriminated in workplaces, things like that. If you're talking about like staff that work at the company, I doubt that they would care. I guess trainers would really only care about your own talent, how much you improve, how much you're actually passionate and work hard for your talents. I guess the managers would only really care about your own personality, like if you're nice or not, if you have respect or not, because it doesn't matter if you're like fitting into the Korean beauty standards or not. So yeah, it's actually just similar to life. If you are pretty, yeah, you actually might get, what do you call them? Pretty privilege. But otherwise, Not necessarily. Are cute visuals preferred over girl crush and strong visuals? So this always depends on the company and their style. Like if you take YG for example, yes, they do prefer more so girl crush and strong kind of visuals rather than, I guess cute, more innocent looking visuals. That again has to do with the style of the company. And even within the company, this differs as well. Like, let's take a look at JYP. I guess Twice's concept when they first started out was more so cute and innocent, but then if you compare that to ITZY and NMIXX, theirs is more strong, more girl crush, so just keep that in mind. You really can't predict what the company looks for unless they've been one way for the longest time, but even with that, they can break their own pattern, so you can't predict that, you can't even change your style, just do whatever you are best with, I guess, and what you're comfortable with. Even within the Korean beauty standards, the most aspect of it I get asked a lot is about, I guess, the tone of your skin color, because that is most definitely something we cannot control. I mean, all aspects of Korean beauty standards, but especially your skin color, you cannot control. Unless, I guess, if you tan or whitewash, but I don't think that's what we're talking about here. So you can't change that, guys. And honestly, the companies are more so like changing their views on skin tone a little bit differently, because as you can see, there's a lot of idols with darker skin tones, and that's totally fine. They're not going to force you to whitewash. It's kind of similar to, I guess, plastic surgery. They can't really force you into it. Another question I actually get a lot is about clear skin and I guess not having clear skin. So if you have pimples or acne scars, things like that, can you still get in? Yes, you can. If you see pre-debut pictures of past idols right now, you'll see that they had acne too, just like normal people do. As you can tell from them, this isn't like a permanent thing, especially a lot of you guys are in your growing stages, so it's normal to have acne in your teenage years. But the company will provide you with skin solutions if they are serious about debuting you. Guys, Korea is the country with one of the best dermatologists and skin solutions for you, so don't worry about that too much. And the very last question is, could you pass the audition with just fitting into the Korean beauty standards and looking like a visual? So honestly, yes, because if you think about it, visuals can't change. However, talent can be. I know this isn't like the most encouraging thing if you are talented, but you don't necessarily fit into the Korean beauty standards. However, this is a case just because talent can be trained, it can be made up, I guess, but visuals aren't necessarily that. Even with, plastic surgery, it's only to a certain amount you can improve your visuals. But you guys, they really prioritize your potential as a trainee, so really think about that keyword over anything else, over talent or visuals. And that is it for the discussion about Korean beauty standards. If you have any other questions, let me know down below. Make sure to watch that short on the Korean beauty standards itself. I know this is a controversial topic, but I really wanted to talk about it because I just get a lot of questions and I feel like this is worth answering. Thank you for watching.